Hello, welcome to Soccer Yanks, a soccer news day podcast. I'm Dave.
And I am Dan, and we are here to bring you the beautiful game from the American perspective. And we've had a bevy of matches. Is that a proper term? Would you call it a bevy?
Everybody hurts sometimes. That's all it's been playing in my head all week.
Yeah, it applies a little bit. It applies to both Dave and I think. Although I don't know, we might get sued for either how badly you portrayed that or for copyright infringement. I'm not sure.
Or maybe I'll start singing The Cure, like boys don't.
Okay, stop.
Let's
start with the common. Let's start with the common theme from the season. United disappoints you again. All right, actually, let's go because we got two. We have two matches to discuss here. Let's talk about the one that was actually kind of exciting a little bit. West Ham.
That wonder goal. Give me a little highlight for my season. That was about it.
It was kind of impressive. He
with Beckham in the stands. That was pretty fun. That was kind of.
Well, they're just like, is Beckham going to react? Is he going to react? You know, he was like, okay, yeah, okay.
It was a good goal.
Yeah, I mean, he saw the goalie was off his line. He took a one bounce. I mean, it's
any top player who saw the goalie off his line who had the gall to do such a thing would have done it.
I mean, okay, yes, that's what everyone keeps talking about this match. I think what's way, way, way more interesting about this match is the formation and the number of playmakers they put in the game, or potential playmakers. He played across the back. He stuck Carrick, in the back.
Who did well.
He did well.
Well, he's used to covering the back line because somebody
always gets a red card.
Yeah.
We saw Butner for the first time, and I can't remember when.
He was instead of putting it into the other fullback shins, he actually sometimes it went over the goal, but at least he kind of made an effort, unlike Evra.
It was interesting, but this is where it starts to get a little. This is where it gets. This is the midfield.
Everybody magnetized to the same spot.
Fletcher, Fellaini, Kagawa, Young, Mata, and he put surprisingly Kagawa in the hole behind Wayne Rooney,
and he did great there.
And I think he did great there, and I think that's where he belongs. And I think that him and Mata can probably both play that role,
switching.
Right,
they're both dynamic enough and smart enough as players to be able to interchange.
Okay, so we saw all these different
with Rooney up top.
We saw these guys in the match. But, you know, I know Rooney scored a wonder goal, but the second goal was a gimme. It was a West Ham
poacher's goal.
It was a poor clearance that went right to Wayne Rooney. I don't recall that many more opportunities created by all these guys. I mean, I was
not a lot of open play kind of.
No, I don't know. I don't know if you give credit to West Ham trying that they kind of stuck it in there and tried to hold them down. Or if this is like the symptom that we've seen, United doesn't look very good going forward.
Yeah, the build-up it doesn't exist. It's the goals that they score either have been coming from set piece or set piece opportunities, or from a wonder goal, or a poacher's kind of opportunity. There's nothing that's built up and fluid from an attack.
Right.
There's nothing organized.
Now, fast forward a few days. I think it was to Tuesday, right? So that was a Saturday match.
The derby.
And then the derby against City. What'd you see there?
Nothing I didn't expect. I kind of felt like they fought. I mean, you could tell they didn't want to. They weren't rolling over.
No.
But again, there was zero midfield in that game for United. Like, literally, there was a hole in the middle of the everybody was in a circle from the top of the box, out of the wings, to the
back line. Almost like a bucket.
Yeah. And everybody in City had as much space as they wanted to make, as big or as small or as intricate as triangles that connected to other triangles. Whatever they wanted to do, they could do.
You know, the one thing...
free reign.
I agree that City had their way. They scored within the first minute.
Yep. That totally.
That was bad. That was whenever you let up a goal. That could go two ways. If you let up a goal in the first minute, you have 89 minutes to make up for it.
They responded well.
Yeah, it was a good fight. It wasn't the second goal didn't come until a little bit later.
Yeah.
But everyone. everyone is kind of. The players looked ragged. They looked run down. They tried hard, but it didn't look like they had enough in the tank. It just seemed like, I don't know, City just looked like they had two squads ready to go. I mean, like, it looks like everybody was fresh and chipper and...
Yeah, whatever they needed to do, they could do.
Exactly.
Company got a card in the first 20 minutes. That was... If I could bet in the United States, I would do that every weekend.
United could not impose their will at all on City. There was none of that.
There is no will.
That's.
There's no direction. There is no. I still don't. I can't say in this season that there is an actual a game plan. I haven't seen one. Like, everybody has a style. Like, you could say that Chelsea, their typical style is score a goal and stop.
Well, counterattack. They're
Yeah.
Very fast counterattack.
Same thing with Liverpool. They're very fast going forward, counterattack.
I think Liverpool's a little bit harder to put your thumb on it. I would say that Brendan Rodgers has been very good at mixing it up this season.
They're pretty fast, though.
Well,
they get you. I mean, it's always they always spread everybody out.
The end game is always going to be, how are we going to kill you with our speed?
Yeah,
it's the in between phase that he's been changing. Are they going to press? Are they not going to press? Are they going to wait?
But there's a stamp on how they do it.
Yes.
Typically,
yeah.
There's only a stamp on how they've lost, and it's without a midfield and shambolic back line. There is no back line. If these are the two
old
center
and slow,
backs,
slow, or injured,
or young and inexperienced,
yeah.
if they don't have enough world class defending to be able to, I mean, look at the top four; they all have a big defender.
Now, let me ask you: United, they've caught up. Well, they're played 31 matches. They are at 51 points. Fourth place is 63 points. Are you feeling that fourth place is out of reach?
The only thing that we have going for us is our schedule, really. These aren't... The only real threat is Everton, who has something to play for.
Well, and you have to beat Everton at that stage of the game. So let's just go real quick. Villa, Newcastle, Hull, Everton, Norwich, Sunderland, Hull. Did I say Hull twice? I think
they play them twice.
They do. They do play them twice. I think I think one of them has been postponed. I could be confused. Does that make sense? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they play them twice. I don't know how that's possible, but but the only name there, the only team that really strikes fear, that should strike fear technically, is Everton.
Yeah.
Everybody else, Hull has shown glimpses of being very good, but they've also shown that they can lose 4-0. Newcastle, I think ever since they sold Cabaye, has not been the same. Villa could prove to be testy. They've beaten both Arsenal and Chelsea this season. Norwich and Sunderland and Hull, Norwich and Sunderland, I'm not sure. Not so much. I think United should be able to beat them. So I guess, all right, the run-in, they got one big match. One must win. But even if they win them all, they gotta cover.
You never know
12
what
points.
Happens.
12 points, 11 points, 12 points to get into fourth right now.
You never know what could happen in 7 weeks.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have to tell an Arsenal fan that.
How does playing in the Champions League help or hurt them?
Well, is this going to...
Actually, yeah. We'll lead into also... All right, so that question really leads into Twitter question we got this week from Chris over at Across the Pond, our good friends. And Chris tweeted at us from the ATP Radio, at ATP Radio. Bayern's clinch of Bundesliga in March. Is UCL theirs too?
It's pretty grim.
It bodes very badly for everyone else in the Champions League.
Yeah, they've already got their treble run set.
Now, let me ask you, do you believe, let's use some American sports analogy here. In pro football here, the NFL, there's been a trend that teams that rest in the playoffs, or let's say they've clinched the playoff berth and they rest some players, a lot of people think that hurts that you lose that competitive edge. You're not sharp enough when game time comes.
Or like the Heisman syndrome, where they start partying.
Something along those lines. Do you think that something along that kind of mentality, where domestically you're going to see the second squatters or maybe some of the youth guys maybe get a shot, and your main core, some of your other guys, they're going to get a rest, but it's March.
Can mail it in.
It's March. You know what I mean? Like, they're mailing it in, and all they have is the Champions League. Will they be sharp? Will it affect them in a negative way?
That's a good point. I don't know. That would be great for United if that was the case, because United are going to be focused as they should be, because they're clawing for everything they can. They all want to be in Europe next year, because most of them are staying, with the exception of the back line.
Tournament football, anything can happen.
Yeah, any given day. And
I mean, I don't believe anything can happen, but I think United on their day,
if there's any team that can.
I mean, historically, yes, but I don't know if necessarily I would say that the team of this last 12 months was that same caliber. But what I'm getting at is, even this team on their day, if they don't play into Bayern's strengths, they have a shot. They have a shot. I'm not. I think it's not a high shot. I think it's low odds that they would advance, but there's odds that they can advance. They're not wonderful.
It's just I'm scared, because you have to be very organized in your intent against Munich, because they'll tear you apart. Either way, they can sit back and tear you apart, or they can go at you and tear you apart, whatever way they want to. So you have to keep control of the game. You can't let them be in control of the game, because once that happens, they're done.
Right.
It's like a buzzsaw.
Exactly. No, I agree.
Moving on. So, there was another game this weekend. Somebody went off on it. There were a few comments against Chelsea.
Yeah, Arsenal was shellacked, thrashed,
Taken to the shed.
They were played off the field. It was an embarrassing loss, 6-0. It could have been 10-0.
Arsene Wenger's zipper even left.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What do you think went wrong?
Besides everything, even if they manage to somehow get control of the midfield in the game and stop everything from pouring back into the front of their line, they still need somebody who can finish. They don't have a finisher to score goals. I mean, you could build it up and get it there, but Giroud ain't cutting it.
There is Thierry Henry has been quoted about this. He put it in his book. Other players, Cesc Fabregas, other players have said Arsene Wenger's tactics. Now, I don't want to discredit him, because there are other examples where he has tactically set up a team very well against another team's strengths. But most of the time, what he wants to do is impose his style onto the tempo of the game, and he wants his players to take control of the game and force the other team to play their way, not the other way around. And I think often there isn't a plan B. Or maybe the plan B is not prepared for taking an early goal. So, all right, to take an early goal, don't worry, don't deviate from plan A.
So they're not prepared for the unexpected.
I'm not saying that that's happening. This is the problem. We're all playing a guessing game of what's happening in the dressing room. Mm-hmm. But Thierry Henry said it in 2006 before the Champions League final against Barcelona. Wenger didn't look at Barcelona tactically until the night before. Because he's like, no, I don't care what they're doing. We're going to impose our style onto them. And it doesn't always work. It works sometimes. It works wonders against teams 5 through 20.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work. It works well when we're at home against the top clubs. At home, we've done very well. But this season away, Liverpool, an example. City. I'm going to say the City match though was very. Although we lost 6-3. I think that game could have easily been 6-6. There was a lot of crazy stuff happened in that match.
I felt 6.
Well, that one I almost believe it would have been the quote unquote accident that was an accident. Chelsea,
But you could. What was it?
this Chelsea match was it was disgusting.
16 goals in 3 games they conceded. Something like 15 or 16.
Yeah, so at the weekend before Tuesday, they conceded 17 goals against the other top three teams, and they've conceded 17 goals against all the other teams they played. So it goes to show like
Against the best competition.
Something has happened. Granted, Arsenal lost its best goal scorers, and without Ozil really was. I think it's really been showing that Ozil really was doing a great job for Arsenal, because now that he's out, it's gone. There's something
lost the ball. You could still be a great player and not have the ball at your feet.
Well, I think that's what people are starting to realize now that Ozil is not there. He was really making up for the lack of Ramsey and Walcott, because both those guys were. I mean, Walcott scored 5 goals in 5 games. I mean, he was hurt in the beginning of the season. He came back, didn't miss a beat, and Ramsey was, up into his injury, to me, player of the year. And I know that everyone's going to say, well, shut up, Dan, you're an Arsenal fan. Of course you think he was player of the year.
No, he was great up until November, and his knees blew up again.
Until he got hurt.
Or legs, I'm sorry.
Well, it was a thigh injury. Yeah, he had a little bit of a lull, but he was still a huge contributing factor. And Arsenal is feeling the pain.
And he had intensity, too. That was the other thing. There's not a lack of athleticism. It's the intensity to get what they're trying to do that I think. And that's what I think the other thing we were talking about, what Scholes' comments were on Sky.
Well, I mean, all right, I'll paraphrase some of the stuff he said. And you got to take, honestly though, I think that the guys like this shouldn't be on TV, because he can't separate himself from the game yet. Because his opening line, typical week for Arsenal, really. Really? Is it a typical week? Statistically? It's not a typical week. This is only the 3rd time this season it's happened.
Well, against the top teams, I think that's what his point was.
But it starts off already negative. It doesn't. So they lost.
Well, if Patrice Vieira is commenting on a shitty United game, I expect the same thing.
Yeah, but hold on. We'll get to why I think he's a subjective piece of garbage. They lost to Chelsea. Similar theme, which happens when they play the top teams, but that's not true. It's only when they play them away. It happened at Liverpool. You conceded 6 against City. For one reason or another, the players just seem to go missing. The Artetas, the Cazorlas, the Rosickis, Ozils, although he has not been playing for a bit. They go on the pitch with no discipline. It's as though your 4 or 5 midfielders go out there and they do what they want. They try and score a goal. A nice 1-2, nice tippy-tappy football, but don't bother running back. Does this guy even freaking watch Arsenal? I don't know if the manager. I don't know if it's the manager. It just seems that way. Midfield players with no discipline. There are no leaders. No Patrick Vieira. No Adams. No Martin Keown. I mean,
I think I think he's not talking about their season. I think he's talking about when they play against top 4 teams. And the games that I've watched, it is like that. They try to do that silky stuff, and they end up leaving Koscielny or Vermaelen or Jenkinson or whoever's in the back exposed, and that's why Gibbs keeps getting red cards, because he's running like a jackrabbit all over the place and he's making crazy tackles. Or Chamberlain.
No, it was Walcott. Wasn't even at the game. We're going to get to that too. I think the one point he has here is what we talked about. Tactically, sometimes it feels like Arsenal goes out there and they just want to play their game, and they don't concede enough respect to the opposition tactics, and that's where Chelsea and Liverpool both have really, abused Arsenal, because they didn't respect the tactics that were being imposed on them. I mean, listen, you want to know. This is how you beat. You want to know how you beat Arsenal? It's really easy. Okay, you deploy 2 midfielders, 2 tackle. You 2 guys that you give them, like Henderson and Allen did it. Who did it? And who did it for City? Oh, Torre and Fernandinho. Mm-hmm. Phil Jones this season for United. Basically, break up the midfield. Don't let them get into rhythm. The midfield consists of a lot of small players, so they're prone. If you press them, they're prone to give up the ball because they're not really good at evading that pressure. And then you play transition football and you find space behind them because they've committed forward. It's every time that they lose, it's exactly the same game plan.
Yeah, but that's what he's saying.
Okay, yeah.
There's only 5, and you don't have any strikers.
Yeah, but what is this no leader thing? And I just don't find. Basically, you could take this entire thing and you can replace Arsenal with United, and it seems very similar.
He said the same thing about
No,
them.
he did not. He said the Arsenal was a million miles from the title, and they said United have to stick with Moyes.
Yeah, they stick with Moyes, but they still said there was no leader on United.
There is no leader on United, but he was not as critical. I mean, this is subject. It's subject.
I think you're a bit sore on this.
Listen, I can tell you if you follow my Twitter, you know that I'm very critical of the team, and I'm very honest. This kind of stuff is they love it because it drives us nuts, but they do it on purpose. They put a guy up there. First of all, he's got the personality of a potato.
They were just glad he was talking.
Yeah. Oh, finally, we got the soulless one to speak.
That's why they wanted him. That's why it was. This is why it's a big deal, because Scholes does not talk. He never talked about anything. He never got in the media about anything. And they put a camera and he went off and he had a rant about it.
I don't think that there is no leaders. That there are I believe that there are leaders in Arsenal. I think that Arteta is a huge leader.
I think this is a big thing because he is arguably the best midfielder in the world, and he's commenting about the midfield. And
Did you say Paul Scholes is the best midfielder in the world?
I said arguably.
And where is that arguable? In Manchester? Come on, man.
Really?
No, I do not think that Paul Scholes is arguable. We're talking about in the grand pantheon of all midfielders.
One of the best in the world, yes.
Does not even make the top 10.
In your opinion, I said arguably. Moving on.
Twitter, please comment on that.
You don't think Paul Scholes is one of the best ever?
Maybe in the Premier League, maybe for United. I don't think he's... Dude, you're taking away... There's a lot of midfielders. There's a lot of midfielders.
I understand that. All right. Where are we going?
Oh, you know what? We got to talk about that red card.
Oh, yeah.
You know why I got to talk about that red card?
Theo Walcott's red card?
Yes, that one. Now, I don't... First of all, do you think it was a red card?
When he flung his hand out?
Yeah, he dove and he flung his hand out. And
I think he flung his hand out.
Okay. Do you think that Mariner thought it was a red card?
Who?
The ref. You thought he was a red... Do you think he thought it was a red card? Personally. Initially.
I don't know.
Yeah, he called a goal kick. Then everybody swarmed him. Okay, that happens, right? But this is what really bothers me. There was enough time for him to see the replay. I honestly believe that someone somewhere saw a replay because it was a goal kick. It was a goal kick. The side judge, everyone said it was a goal kick. All the people that were closest to the ball. Now you're telling me the fourth official that's standing next to Arsene Wenger said it's a handball because he heard it in his ear. Now it was a handball. I don't know if it was a red card. Whatever. It wouldn't have affected the game. Mariner's very lucky that Chelsea was destroying Arsenal because if it was a close game, he should be hung. I believe that someone saw this just like Zidane's headbutt. Somebody saw it on replay and said, "Oh, you got to fix this." But what's awful is that he sent off the wrong guy, and then even when Oxlade-Chamberlain went to him and said, "I did it," he shrugged him off and said, "Get away from me! Like I don't care." There's something wrong here. There's something wrong when a player admits that like that's not the right guy to get the red card. Does that make sense to you?
No, because there should be discretion in situations like that. Especially,
you mean you get to just give a red card to a random player? What do you mean by discretion?
If a player from the team that's getting the red card comes up and says, "Hey, bud, you got it wrong. My bad." It's like, what was it? Di Canio. It's like a sportsmanship kind of thing. You know, like when, I forget, it was like 10 years ago, a goalie went down, he was injured, and it was like in the last, 10 seconds of the game, and he could have scored on an open goal. It was a tie game, and he picked it up, and he threw it out, and he kicked it out. And they wanted to give him a handball. They were going to give him a handball for picking up the ball and throwing it out. And they all come up to him and start saying, "Hey, no, what are you doing?" And he was trying to...
Well, didn't it just happen in the Bundesliga? A guy was awarded a penalty, and he went to the ref and said,
Yes.
I fell. I wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't. I tripped.
I tripped or something like
He
that.
came and he was getting a red.
Right. And whatever. What I'm getting at is
The ref should be able to take it into context. It's not like the captain of the team that's getting the red card saying, no, you shouldn't do
send
it.
off that guy, not this guy.
Yeah,
we need him.
If the other team members are coming up, the people who are going to have the advantage of the man,
Right.
if the guy goes off and saying, don't send him off, that didn't happen. It just proves the boneheaded, like, blind ignorance that, I understand they have to enforce the rules, but they're not all knowing and all powerful.
And then what does the FA do? The FA rescinds the red card and says neither Oxlade or Gibbs have to miss a match, so they both get to play. And they played in the second match,
but the damage was done.
Right.
They played with 10 men for 80 minutes.
Right. It doesn't matter. I can wholeheartedly tell you,
if it was 11-11, it would have been 4 or maybe, but yeah.
I do not think that team that came out, their heart was ripped out of their chest after the first 10 minutes. I don't think that they had any more heart left in them anyway.
The team's gassed. They're gassed.
That's part of the problem. That's the big issue.
They got no more gas left in the tank. They're not used to being healthy this time of year either. Most of them are coming back this time of year.
Well, I think you've discussed this in the past, and I was kind of against it, and now I'm leaning way more in your favor in your theory. Not theory, in the sense that, well, listen, the team has historically been very thin. This season, I would say that the one position that nobody thought we would have a problem would be in the middle of the pitch. Right? We had tons. We had midfielders coming out of our ears.
Glut.
And it's not. I thought if we lost a striker, we would be in deep trouble. I thought if we lost the center back or two, we'd be in trouble, which we've lost 2 center backs before. And we lost midfielders galore. I don't think there's a team in the world that can lose 4 major midfielders and be okay. I don't think so. Maybe. I don't even think Manchester City can lose 4 guys. Could they lose Fernandinho, Nasri, Silva, and Torre? Could they lose all 4 of them and be the team that they are? They couldn't. You're searching in your head for the guys that would come in, and they're going to be able to field the team, of course. But would it be their best? Would it be what you expect? Would City's chances now be significantly diminished?
I can't say. I really can't. Because it's too random. It depends on who.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Liverpool loses Conchingu, Lucas, Gerrard, Allen, Flanagan. That's
all
5.
At once?
4. We lost Ozil, Ramsey, Walcott, Wilshere. It's 4. 4 guys that all start when they're healthy. You get what I'm saying? And the problem is that, okay, yeah, 1 or 2 weeks you could do that. But now there's no rotation now. Now, maybe Wenger's guilty of not rotating earlier in the season when he should have, perhaps.
This is the thing.
Perhaps.
They were all going at the same time. Those teams that you just mentioned, they weren't playing all those 4 people at the same time. They absolutely were not. There was
City
a rotation.
City does.
Silva doesn't play every game.
He plays
every other game. Does not play every game.
He doesn't play.
He's not in every game. Same thing with Torre. He's every two and 1, and then he's a sub, or he gets taken off in the 60th. It's not.
I don't know the stats.
Arsenal
to argue yes or no on that, but I don't. I feel
Arsenal's
otherwise.
midfields go all game long, 100%. Very rarely are they subbed out.
It's also the style that they play that doesn't help.
Yeah, they're very all over. Very run hard, run fast, all over the place. They need more midfielders. They do. They need more.
Right now, we do.
The last 3 years have been injury plagued, and you would think after the first 2 that they would get. They need, if they want to compete in an FA Cup, they want to go for trebles every year. They have to be able to field 2 teams.
I'm not necessarily sure that.
And they need striker. They need another striker.
Okay, I agree. They need another striker. We need another right back. We needed one more defensive midfielder. But I don't think we need any more central midfielders. We have more than enough. We forced them to play on the wings.
Well, if you don't need you need new medical staff or physio training staff to be able to figure out
honestly,
how to keep them healthy.
This is going to sound
or placenta wrap their ankles. I don't know.
I just feel like it's unfortunate. I think part of it is the style that we play that puts a certain amount of stress on them, and I think Wenger's maybe lack of rotation earlier in the season. But I don't think buying more players. I don't see it. The entire bench is getting used. It's not like they don't have the same 23-man, 25-man roster that everyone else has. The guys are being used now. I think earlier in the season, I think he's suffering we were doing well, we were winning. He didn't want to change the formula.
Yeah, but the bench is being used now because they have no other option.
Right, and the problem is that...
And they're going down now.
And the problem is we had such great creators in the midfield that we can't create the goals now because Giroud is not good enough on his own to create the goals. And that's why we're suffering.
Yeah.
But before, when you had them, it was no problem.
But if you have more on the bench, you wouldn't have that problem right now.
That's not their team. That's not what they're not, they don't, even with the $100 million, they're not going to go out and buy, they're not going to do Tottenham. They're not going to go buy 7 guys and which I agree, completely destabilize the team. They're not going to do it. And I think it's smart to not do that.
We'll see. We'll see where they finish. We got seven. Where do you think they're going to end up?
3rd or 4th. Depends on how Liverpool does. Depends if Liverpool beats out. Liverpool can win every single match and still not win the Premier League. City can afford to lose to Liverpool, win the rest of their matches, and they win the Premier League. Chelsea needs City to lose a couple of matches. And Liverpool needs to win out, and they need other teams to lose. So it depends. If Liverpool loses both to Chelsea and City, I think Arsenal has a good chance to maybe take 3rd or 4th. 1st or 2nd is not mathematically impossible, but it is going to require teams like Sunderland and Villa and West Brom and Newcastle to do stuff for us. And you're never in a good situation when you need mid-table and lower-end table teams to provide results for you. So, do I think they're going to fall below 4th? Not a shot in hell. If they do fall below 4th, and they happen to not win the FA Cup, it's going to be a very, very interesting summer.
Yeah, you think they're going to shut down Wilshere, Ozil, and Ramsey?
What do you mean?
Season?
Ramsey is a few weeks out. We'll probably get him at the end of April, like full speed. I doubt Ozil's gonna put his World Cup at risk.
He's not risking that.
He might come back last week or 2 and be on the bench. I doubt he's gonna make the field again. Wilshere's done.
Yeah, I think Wilshere's done.
He's got a broken bone. He's rehabbing right now. He's got a broken bone in the foot.
And if anything, he'd be wanting to play for England too.
I don't see him coming back either.
So that leaves you with Rosicky, Cazorla, and Arteta.
Flemini and also Cal Karlstrom played this week. He's finally the loanee that we got. He's healthy. And he actually played with the most heart in the second half against Swansea. We drew Swansea an unfortunate own goal on Tuesday night. Again, that team, Arsenal commanded the game. The ball was always going in one direction, but they conceded a very nice goal from Bonnie's header was incredible. I kind of blamed a very tired midfield for not chasing down Taylor. They gave him way too much space for that cross, so he had all day to put in, to work out that cross. But after that, Swansea didn't look very dangerous going forward. Arsenal, once they scored the equalizer, I saw it. They came in, they scored the second one. The own goal was unfortunate in my eyes. That's what happens.
He wanted to score.
In the context, I said this on Twitter, I think. If you take Tuesday's result outside of the context of Saturday's result, if you forget Saturday, you would say, "Oh, that happens. It's football. It was an okay day. They were really tired. They put in a pretty good shift. They thought they did enough. It happens." But when you look at 6-0 on Saturday and you look at 2-2, everyone thinks the world's imploding. So, I don't know. I mean, everyone's been asking me, like, what do you, Wenger in, Wenger out, Wenger in, Wenger out. And I've been on the fence. I've been limbo. I've been in what I called limbo. But, then I started thinking to myself, I started thinking about what he has done in the last 10 years. And it's like, I feel like you have to give him finally, for the last 10 years, he's had the shackles on him. Basic for about 10 years. Yeah, 2003. Emirates went up in 2003. He stayed in the top 4. He's competed. Net spending. Okay, I got a little stat here for you. City spent 479 in the same period from 2003 till now. 479 million pounds. Chelsea 282 million pounds. United 138 million pounds. Stoke 91 million pounds. Liverpool 89 million pounds. Arsenal -4. So Liverpool and Stoke have spent way more money, invested, quote unquote, invested in the players, and they have not been as successful as Arsenal. There's no way if you tell me that Liverpool's been more successful because they won, a cup here and there.
I understand that, but if you tell the average, you tell the Arsenal supporter that, as an accountant, that's probably amazing. But the average Arsenal supporter paying what they pay at a ticket price.
I agree. But this is what I'm saying to you. This is the first summer where in the beginning of the summer they said, let's do it. Shackles are off. Okay, there was a lot of time spent trying to buy a striker this summer. And Higuain fell through. Benzema fell through. Suarez fell through. It's not like, and by the way, David Henry came out on the record and said there was a buyout clause. Arsenal did trigger the buyout clause. I refused to sell. He was going to take Suarez. Suarez was going to take him to court. And they sat down and said, you want to go to court? Do you want to go play for, you want to play for Arsenal? You're going to be hated even more. They sat down and they convinced him to stay. And then they renegotiated his contract.
So you're on the same page I am with Moyes. Give him another year because he needs time to have his free reign. Not
that I think that he needs his time. He's obviously had an amazing era. But I think we need to give him at least a little bit of a window, 2 years. Give
He's
him
got more money to spend now.
Now you can't say you're restrained. So now you need to go out. Listen, we have another summer where, honestly, I do not believe that this summer was Wenger didn't want to spend. Nothing went our way, and everyone knew we were buyers in the market, and we were getting screwed. It happened, and I think not many teams want to go out and help other teams. It's world football, so
it's business.
It's business. So I think when I look at it in that context, I go, we got $100 million. That's what they say. The treasure chest is $100 million right now. Let's give him another summer. Let's give him 12 months. 1 year extension. Not a full 3 years. Let's give him 1 year extension. See how this next 12 months goes. I
bet you he's probably waiting for the World Cup, see who comes up and who gets injured.
You mean like as far as this is another thing. This transfer window is going to suck because nothing's going to happen. Then all the sharks are going to go after the hot kid from the World Cup.
Mm-hmm. Whoever's hot out of Ghana, whoever's hot out of wherever.
The next Gervinho.
Exactly.
So I was in limbo, but I went back into the. I have to give this man some more time. Even if he's stubborn about certain things, but he's stubborn about good things too. You know what I mean?
Who would you want to replace him?
That's the problem. You're gonna have to pull somebody out of a contract. Okay? Klopp is
you can't have him.
You can't. He's a loyal.
I'm happy. He's mine.
But he's a loyal guy anyway. He's the kind of guy that's not going to break a contract.
That's why I don't believe.
I do not believe. And I think he's there till 2017 or 18. Roberto Martinez, another guy that's done long stints with clubs. He's been with Everton 1 season. How hard is it going to be to pry him out of there? The guys from La Liga that everyone keeps talking about, Simeone from Atletico Madrid, I'm not sure he's Arsenal material.
You think Mourinho will do a one and done at Chelsea and leave?
No, if he wins the league, no.
No. You think he'll try to do back to back?
Yeah, he'll go for he wants to win the treble or do something spectacular. He's actually, I have a feeling Mourinho's going to wait till the Portuguese team is open and he's going to jump ship to that. He's talked about it. He's talked about coaching the national team, and then he'll definitely be the most hated manager in the world. But yeah, that's the thing. Who you know, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know.
True.
Because ask a United fan, would you take Fergie back? Well, he didn't. He retired. But what I'm saying is, wouldn't you want him back?
Of course, you wouldn't want Alex Ferguson.
When Alex Ferguson appointed David Moyes and he gave him his endorsement, how did you feel? You felt pretty good.
I thought it was going to be a good guy. Who's to say he isn't, though?
Who's to say that Klopp comes to Arsenal and he sucks?
The grass is always greener.
You know what I mean? So I say let's cross that bridge when it's time to cross that bridge.
All right. So, our last Twitter question?
Yeah, we've been rambling on for a while. Let's do the last Twitter question.
From KB Jelly. What do you think about Ray Hudson?
I don't know, Dave. What do you think about Ray Hudson?
Magisterial announcing, in my opinion.
I think this came up because you had posted on our Facebook page that he was going to be... What was he going to be? The savior of American soccer? No, not the savior.
I forget what, the prophet, something like that.
I don't know. Something about bringing American soccer together.
That's
or something.
the color. It's the color.
And then I responded saying that he is too love-hate to be any sort of messiah. I mean, his love for some players is just...
Gushes.
It's ridiculous.
Mamma mia di Maria.
Every time Messi touches the ball... Messi! It's like Messi blew his nose. It's amazing. Save the tissue. It's like the what is it? The cloak of Turin.
I think he's fantastic. I love watching games, even if it's not a major.
You mean anything in Serie A?
Any exactly.
I'm just kidding. No, I joke. I kid.
No, yeah. Literally, I would watch Serie A because he's broadcasting. The Classicos are great because he's going to go either way. Whoever's scoring or whoever's doing anything, he's going to freak out. Yeah.
I don't. There's times where I really like him because he does bring an element that's not present. It's very South American.
Yes.
There's a life to it, but at times
he's got his own personality.
But at times it's just too over the top. Where I want to gouge my eyes out, especially if you're not a neutral. If you're a neutral, it's not so bad. But when you actually have a horse in the race and he's out there and he's just stroking the other team, you want to reach through the TV and just knock him out because it's ridiculous. It gets, you know what I mean? So there's the subjectivity level there. Just like if I said, if you got a horse in the race, man, you can hate him.
Yeah, but I mean, when somebody comes up with a line stretched out like spandex on South Beach, I mean, come on.
Okay, yeah, it's good. It's funny.
It's fantastic. Gold in my
But sometimes
opinion.
I think he's bigger. He thinks that he's bigger than the game.
I don't care. It's fantastic commentating. He does tend to distract from whatever's going on, but
right? Isn't that kind of the thing? Should he be more? I mean, there's some games where he's big. He's a bigger spectacle than the actual field, than what's going on in the field.
But for the average American, which is why I think he's broadcasting in America, I think they're trying to draw that spectacle for what people think is an otherwise boring game.
He's like the Bob Uecker from Major League Sports.
Yes, exactly. He's like the announcer for Chicago White Sox. Whenever they hit a home run, put him in the bone, like that kind of stuff.
Right.
He's got his own call. It's like he has his own call, but everything is his own call. The entire 90 minutes is his own call.
Yeah, poor Phil Schoen. Gets one word in. And Messi has the ball.
It sounds like a kennel.
Something along those lines. So there you go, Kyle. I don't think he's going to save U.S. soccer, but Dave does.
I think he's fantastic. I hope he never goes away. What do we got? I think we got to wrap up.
We got to wrap up because we dragged you last week through a super long one. We can't do it again. But
don't forget to check out the big game this weekend.
The big game this weekend, it seems to be... It depends. If you think Arsenal's going to show up, It's at home. Arsenal versus City is a big game.
I'm going to let you
Liverpool,
know.
Tottenham. Not that I think Tottenham is a big club or anything, but
That'll be a big game.
if Tottenham decides to show up a little bit, just a little bit.
I don't know. I don't think you're going to stop that train.
No, I don't think so either, but
That's a pretty impressive.
you know what would be very nice? An Adebayor red card, just because.
All right, that's it for Soccer Yanks. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Soccer Yank Dave.
I'm at Soccer Yank Dan. To find everything and anything about us, please visit www.socceryanks.com. You can find all the ways to listen to us, all the different articles that we not necessarily we so much write, but our team of contributors.
And
right?
if you want to be a team member,
you can send us an email at socceryanks@gmail.com.
the link is on the site too if you want to check that out.
Absolutely.
All right, have a good week, folks. Happy soccering.
Thanks for listening.